Deja vu. Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of I Can Do This All Day. I'm Dan, the part-time Avenger, and with me as always is Mark, the resident Jedi.
Hello there. Today we're going to take 31 stabs at a movie that had so many versions of Paul Rudd that Paul Rudd got sick of Paul Rudd, and that's Antman Quantumania.
Antman Quantumania, the first movie in Phase 5. And how did you see this movie? Were you in the theater, first row? What was it?
I was in the theater, had a great near middle seat, reclined, ready to go with popcorn and Skittles. This time they did not have a good snack selection, and I did not make a strong effort to. Me and my wife were out, and we went to this movie, and I did not make a good effort to do like a solid lunch prior to it. So we went for that 3 p.m. old people's show. All the old folks were in there. But yeah, no, in a solid theater.
Perfect. So Skittles, very, very important question. What kind were they?
They were not the original. They were the mix of the tropical and the wild berry. They come in the same package, all of them mixed together. It was Alpha Skittles.
Holy shit, I've never heard of that before.
That's right. They're called Alpha Skittles.
Jeez, that's like next level shit right there. That's some gourmet Skittle shit. Damn, Jimmy. The reason why I asked is because I'm a big fan of the wild berry Skittles, and I actually bought wild berry Skittles for my oldest so that way he can snack on them during the movie. But we went full-blown snackage and dinner-ish, if you will. So we had the Pizza Hut pizza that the movie theater makes. We had the popcorn. We had don't tell anyone, we smuggled in snacks, which included Skittles wild berry gummies, along with some gummy bears and some sour Twizzlers, which are the best Twizzlers in my opinion, because all Twizzlers really suck except for those. But that's it. Yeah. We had a full-blown sugar carb-on-carb meal, and it was fantastic. You said you went at a 3 o'clock show. I went at a 4:30, and I think every seat was packed. It's kind of hard to tell in theaters nowadays because they have the assigned seatings, and you have enough space. And so you can't really tell if it's like a packed theater or not.
Wait, was yours what day of the week? Mine was Saturday after opening.
Friday, opening day.
Okay.
Well, I mean, if you don't count the Thursday night showings, but yeah, Friday. It was good. It was a good little crowd from what I saw after the movie was done. But yeah, had the whole family there. But it was a good time. It's a good time. What about your thoughts on the movie as we dive right into it? So preconceived things, just as a refresher to the fans, there was a wager that was made.
Yeah. One of us expected this to be a much darker kickoff to Phase 5, where we're going to start seeing some real conquering and power from Kang, and we got blue sparkle Kang in this one.
Hold on, wait a second.
We'll get there.
You make it sound as if that's a bad thing, but all right. So the bet was that Antman, the main continuity Antman, would die in this movie. And I told you that probably a bunch of him will die, but not the main Antman.
None of him died.
No, not necessarily.
All of them reabsorbed into him. There was zero ant. Not even an ant died in this movie.
They got annihilated. The what were they called? Like the possibilities. They died, multiple of them, a bunch of them. But
no, what happened in that scene is those were the other possible Scots. And then when their destiny realigned, they squished back together. Very Rick and Morty.
The possibilities died, though. They did die.
They ceased to exist because all possibilities led to this.
Right. Long story short, somebody
Yeah, I
lost
was
the bet.
wrong. I'm sitting here in my wrongness, being wrong, talking
Ah,
about this abomination.
fantastic, fantastic. So it looks like you're gonna have to watch another movie based off of this wager. Which, audience, you're welcome. We'll figure that out on a later date. But so on the movie, do you want to kind of just go down like the list of characters as to like how everything started off, like chronologically throughout the movie? You just want to go like main characters?
I mean, I want to talk about the opening and why I was optimistic at the beginning, because it seemed like we were gonna be like, oh yeah, this is gonna be kind of Ragnarok-y, it's gonna be fun, and Paul Rudd's gonna be funny, Paul Rudd the whole time. Um and Yeah, how did you feel about the walking down the street, breaking the fourth wall with your mind thoughts opening?
Loved it, loved it. I think it's right up Paul Rudd and Scott Lang's character's alley. It's just something fun. He's just absorbing in his fame. And something that I thought was really cool is the fact that he wasn't famous before, even though he made it to his musical in Rogers the Musical, even though he wasn't at the Battle of New York. So he finally got a little bit of fame, and then he wrote his own memoir. And I actually thought his ending of his book was kind of clever when he was rereading it and everything. But I thought it was good. I thought it was a good start, and it wasn't like a complete straying of the character. So I was all for it. It had a happy ending and a happy life. Kind of
Yeah,
a nice 180 from being in jail. So,
I agree. I agree.
what did you think about like him referring to himself as an Avenger?
I mean, what was he before? You know,
A
he was
thief.
a lost character who found purpose. So I don't have a problem with it.
I liked it. The fact that I think this is the first time, besides like the main Avengers, actually said that they were Avengers, right? I mean, you had Peter Parker, Tom Holland's Peter Parker saying like, "I'm basically an Avenger. I'm meant for the Avengers," but was
Yeah.
he really? Not really. Not really. If anything, he was fighting against the Avengers. So I don't know. It's kind of interesting and kind of fun that he gets his not just 15 minutes, but his glory from all the people, even though no one can remember what the hell his name is. It's still pretty cool to see that. And I'm sure he was basking in all its glory because from his rejection at the diner with Smart Hulk, I think he was pretty butthurt by that. So it's kind of nice that he gets a little
Oh,
bit
he
of,
wants to take a picture with you
yeah,
too.
a little bit of sunshine, a little bit of sunshine. Um, I will talk about the next character, and I might be able to talk about this at length, so we might have to spread this out. Cassie, Catherine Newton replaced the previous actress from Endgame, and what did you think about her?
I liked her as an actress. I thought she did a great job in the part. I think a lot of the things that you'll find me complain about in this episode is the writing. And I love the writer, um Jeff Loveness. Um he wrote some of the best Rick and Morty episodes,
Did he?
including the
Okay.
Vat of Acid episode, which like won awards and stuff. But he basically wrote this episode like a Rick and it was dripping with Rick and Morty, and Cassie was Summer.
Mm,
And I was kind of annoyed by it and just wanted um I mean, you could have replaced her with what's her name? With the actor Kelsey Spencer Grammer, and we could have just got it over with, right? Because that's basically what was going on. Uh, uh and that led Michael Douglas to be Rick, and Paul Rudd to be Morty, right? I mean, it basically was a Rick and Morty episode.
So
And
what is that a
I
problem?
loved the actress. I loved what she did. It was killing me a little bit. The fact that she was mouthy and was like, oh, it's and that there was like a whole um inner family dynamic that was supporting her rebellious jailness all of a sudden, like Michael Douglas was accepted by Evangeline Lilly as a parent when there was all this tension before, but it's like, oh, Beth and Rick, we're good. We're back.
Yeah.
It
I
was
can see. I
so,
never thought about that throughout this. And I guess if
and
I would have known a little bit about the writer, then maybe I might
I
pull a few
just was like,
parallels.
why is she so sassy? And then she gets all of the weapons like Summer. It's just a whole Summer thing for me. So it was in my head during the show, and so many of the aliens were very Rick and Morty.
Yeah,
But
that I
either
could
way,
definitely see.
the actress, to answer your question, the actress really loved it. Really loved the way she fit into the ensemble. Yeah, I was expecting more seriousness after the last two with people dying all over the place. Nobody died in this movie except for Bill Murray.
Did he die?
Well, he got eaten by a Pym particled beverage.
Oh, I guess I didn't. I don't. Okay, I'll talk a little bit about that a little later. But back to Cassie. So I like that actress. She was in a movie with Vince Vaughn where they it was like a Freaky Friday, except for like a serial killer type thing. So I liked her performance in that. But I will say that I was kind of excited to see her because I liked hers and as an actress, but at the same time, with this role, I never thought Cassie was the mouthy type of character. And so I remember her being like the itty bitty girl that was just like adorable. And she loved her dad unconditionally. And now she's this activist. And hey, granted, people can grow up and they can build their own personality, but in Endgame, I mean, come on. She still had that kid quality about her, you know, still cuddling up to her dad at the end of the movie when the fireworks are going off. So it to me, I had an issue with it because it didn't seem like Cassie Lang. She grew up and she like completely did a 180 of her character from the previous movie.
Okay. Yeah, again, she was just Summer sassy for me. So that's where the actress did a great job though. Like I thought that she owned the scene she was in. And you know, like she wasn't, they cast well.
Okay.
But Spencer Grammer would have been better. Just a little too old at this point.
I slightly disagree. And actually, I won't even say slightly. I strongly disagree. Not because I don't like the actor, but it just, I couldn't get over the fact that they wrote a character that was supposed to be based on the previous character in the other movies, and it just completely abandoned it. So that's my issue with it. And her ability to make a quantum communicator, what were your thoughts on that?
She got help from Michael Douglas. Rick helped her build it. That's what happened. That's what happened.
Yeah.
And she didn't talk to Space Beth about what was going, or I don't even know who Janet is in this movie. Like Janet is like Rick, other Rick 2, right? Apparently. Like
she
if you
was pretty
combine
sour.
Michael Douglas and Michelle Pfeiffer, they're both Ricks.
Yeah, it kind of, right?
And it
Because
is.
she has her own little badass quantum space stories.
We find out about her being a quantum revolutionary and fucking killing and cutting off arms and shit. Like she's gonna go squanch with somebody. She squanched Bill Murray.
So kind of going back to Cassie's activist plot, I know it obviously played later on in the movie, but have you ever protested, you yourself, any true life stories of protesting?
I don't think so.
Does that Neither I have not either. Does that make us bad Americans that we haven't protested?
I mean, I don't think so.
I feel like that's like a quality that you have to have. Like you should protest for something throughout. But I guess I've never wanted to get
You know what I
arrested.
let happen? I will like not shop places or not support certain whatever, and I vote, which I think is like the the more impactful portion of, like, in civic elections, as opposed to like the smaller elections, and do that research as opposed to like yelling at people with a there's enough people there. I don't need to be part of that. I'm good.
So going back to the shopping thing, do you stop shopping somewhere or frequenting a certain business because of their ethics and behavior behind the scenes, or is it because you get bad service?
Both. And those are two separate categories. Like
Right.
there's certain
So
places where I'm like, I can't give them my money.
what's an example of
Hobby Lobby.
what's the reasoning?
I feel like the way that some, and this is like old news, right? Like some of the things that come to light about the way that they treat employees and the like Judeo-Christian ethics that they try and or Christian ethics or whatever. I don't even know. That just sounded smart, but it's not. But just the way that they try and Jesus up everybody a little bit. Like, I'm all for freedom of religion and letting people worship however they want, but you sell hobby goods. You're not a church or a charity. So no.
Okay.
I'm also like the separation of church and state thing is big for me. Like I the ethics piece of it kills me.
So what about like Chick-fil-A? Because there's the whole controversy with Chick-fil-A a few years back. Do you frequent Chick-fil-A?
I like Chick-fil-A. I will eat there. I'll go to Popeyes instead, but I go to Chick-fil-A. I think that the way that they treat their employees, that, and they don't like hit them with the heavy religious piece, as far as I know. I haven't, like the Hobby Lobby thing. There's been like blatant, like purposely withholding benefits for certain things.
Mm,
Like it seems like Chick-fil-A at least treats their people good. And as a former retail employee, like that place is like held in as high of regard as like Costco. And somehow they're able to train their people to be insanely polite in any situation. And I kind of envy that, as I'm
yeah,
like, wow, can I understand how you put together retail enablement to make somebody so polite that they make me feel happy? Like,
that is pretty
wow.
impressive.
Like, because you go into other places and you're just like, oh my God, please don't like run into traffic after this, because it seems like you're not happy to be here. I've never been to Chick-fil-A and seen somebody just like, oh my God, I hate it here.
Got to start visiting some Chick-fil-A's in Florida, man.
That's just because they're in Florida.
I know, right? But I will go
Nobody,
on
not
record
even people
saying,
at Disney are happy to be in Florida anymore, Dan.
unfortunately,
Damn
I will be
Chapek.
happy to go to Disney again. Just lower the ticket prices and annual passes and
Or
stuff.
or just let people go when they want and don't make them reserve it 6 days in advance.
Yeah. I will go on record for the Chick-fil-A and Popeyes chicken debate that hasn't happened. But Popeyes do the superior chicken
Oh, yes.
sandwich.
Agreed.
Fantastic.
Agreed.
God damn,
But
I want one
every
now.
now and then you want some waffle fries and Chick-fil-A sauce.
I can make Chick-fil-A sauce at home, man. I don't need that
I
shit.
have Chick-fil-A sauce at home. It comes in a bottle. I get it from Target.
You mix mayo with pretty much any other condiment and you'll get some version of Chick-fil-A sauce, you know?
Or you go to Target and you buy the bottle that says Chick-fil-A sauce. Also, their Polynesian sauce heavily underrated as a not too salty sweet and sour sauce. Pretty solid.
Okay,
Pretty
I'll have to
pretty
check
good.
that out.
Pretty good hack.
Next time I buy Chick-fil-A for a work luncheon or something like that, I'll just bank all those points so I can get some Polynesian sauce.
Dude, you take the little box of the nuggies and you pour the Polynesian sauce, you shake it up. It's like better than panda chicken, than sugar chicken. It's pretty solid. You gotta try it. You gotta try it and report back to the listeners about how you feel about Polynesian chicken from Chick-fil-A.
One thing I want to know is your thoughts on Janet Van Dyne and her character and why she was so scared of Kang and her secrecy with the quantum realm.
Chick Rick, I love that they gave that character depth, because it felt like in every other Ant-Man movie, they didn't give her the depth and badassery that she deserved, right? Like, she was Hope before there was hope. She was the Wasp before the Wasp. And they were just like, oh, look, it's Michelle Pfeiffer.
You don't think that her sacrificing herself was character development or badassery?
I think so, but I think she should have been able to fight better. They still haven't given her the damn suit.
Well, her and Michael Douglas are not really in the suits anymore.
Bro, they have nanobot suits at this point. Anybody can have a nanobot suit. You could have a fucking nanobot suit.
For the record, she whooped some ass when she was stranded in the quantum realm.
I agree, but there's no reason that all of those people in their pocket didn't have a nanobot suit. Like, it's smaller than the key fob for my car.
Yeah.
So I guess, just saying, if Hope wears it all the time, they could wear it all the time. If Cassie happened to have one on for whatever, she was in jail and had one on. Like, she didn't like come home and say, oh, you know what I'm going to do? I'll put on a nanobot suit under my clothes for the hell of it. She got one. She like somehow got one through the pat down process to jail. Like, they could have had that. Huge plot hole for me.
I got to hand it to Hank Pym. He always has some type of shenanigans and different types of gadgets and widgets to do some cool science shit.
He had ant earpieces in and didn't have the nanobot suit.
He's old, man. You can't have a Ant-Man suit. He's just too old.
No, he's not.
But
he can rick up in his scarf blowing in the wind and bring all the giant ants over, right?
Yeah. I thought that was actually kind of cool. But
I love what they gave Michael Douglas. Michael Douglas in this movie, like I said, was the cool superhero. He had all of the. I liked what they did with the ensemble. I thought the banter was top notch.
Yeah, it was. I did like that. I want to go back to Michelle Pfeiffer, but I thought she just fucking rocked it in this. I thought she was the strongest character of the.
Oh yeah, she was wasteland badass.
Yeah, the good guy badass. She was awesome.
Fucking, yeah. She was ready to go into like Mad Max.
And still looking amazing while doing it. She's still
Michael Douglas too. Both of them looked pretty solid.
Yeah.
I think there was some de-aging in this movie. Like,
there definitely
digitization going on.
But the funny thing is that whatever CGI and de-aging they did for Michelle Pfeiffer, it didn't even look like she was that much younger because she just looked the same when you went to present day. Yeah, it still looks good. And probably one of my favorite actresses from the 80s and then translated into the 90s. And yeah, so here we are, 2023, still kicking ass. Pretty awesome.
Yep.
Hank Pym, Michael Douglas, the guy who is a crotchety old man in the first two movies, becomes like Rick Sanchez in this movie.
It's funny. It's funny. I think that I like that they gave him the jokes, but again, getting this like amazingly solid Rick and Morty writer who's written some of the best, more modern episodes. I mean, it's gonna happen. It's gonna happen, and I don't mind it.
I think it also falls into line just very true to life that as you get older, you just stop giving a fuck and you think everything is just a big joke. So I think that's what Michael Douglas and Hank Pym was doing in this movie, which I thought was funny. I thought it was just like, yeah, he's fucking he gives zero fucks now. He's just like, quantum science, fuck it. Let's teach her how to do some stuff. This will be fun.
Oh, what's it gonna hurt? Make your little mapping tool.
Exactly.
Send a beeper out. Ping it. Send the ping. Do the double ping. Who cares?
Yeah. So, such a true scientist, right? I mean, kind of similar to Egon in the Ghostbusters.
Yeah.
It's like everything for the sake of science. Fuck the consequences. We're gonna do some science experiments today. Hope. So Evangeline Lilly as Hope. What did you think of her?
I've never been a fan of this character.
Okay.
And I think Evangeline Lilly is the reason.
She doesn't have the best reputation.
She evangelizes a lot of things that don't make her do very well. Like, I enjoyed her in Lost and have not enjoyed her since. And I think it's because I had no idea who she was when I watched her on Lost. And now she's just gotten really, like, I have no problem with people who protest or people who speak their mind. I don't know. I'm just not a fan of her or her character in this movie or any of the other movies. I've never been a big Hope fan.
I liked her in the second one. I thought she kicked ass in the second one. I thought she was
the fight scenes aside, just the character was like kicks and arm blasts and look at me. I don't know.
Where do you go with that character though? I mean, she's so angry and bitter.
She's a sidekick. She's so I mean, it is what it is. But I mean, you know, Batman and Robin, I didn't mind Robin in any of those movies, but her, I'm just not. I'm not a fan of the actress and like just her performances, but I mean, to each their own. There's everybody's got a flavor. I like that she had her fucking quantum suit. I like that. I like that she was, ready to go. But I like how they kind of tried to turn her into Steve Jobs a little bit. Steve Jobs, who has romantic lunches on top of the Golden Gate Bridge.
Yeah. I thought that was cool where they showed a human side of her, though. Because before she was just like this.
I will agree. They've at least given her some level of personality. But, she's definitely Space Beth as opposed to regular Beth.
I mean, I will say that the title of this movie is Antman and the Wasp, Quantumania. And I got a lot of Antman. I didn't get that much Wasp. I really didn't. There are some, good action scenes in this with her, but not a whole lot of her. Just more so questioning her mom. Like, why are you so scared of this? Why didn't you tell me the truth, Mom? Like, it's stuck in that loop the entire time. So it seems like they did the whole Rick and Morty script writing and not involved the Wasp whatsoever.
No, she's half Beth, half Jerry. Why are we here? What's going on?
This Jerry, that's awesome. Oh God. So as you're watching this movie, are you in the theater having any problems throughout with the characters following the plot?
Watching it in the theater, I made a comment. It moved at a pace that kept me involved. For a 2-hour and whatever movie, I was in the whole time. Like, there wasn't that lull to it, that like deep breath and pause before the final battle. Like, the whole thing like kept me going. I liked the Avatar-esque nature that they gave the quantum realm, all these different it wasn't like a Star Wars planet. It wasn't just up all desert, up all forest. No, it had many different geo whatever fears and different things going on, and they changed up all the time. And I enjoyed that. Like I thought that it was well done visually, and that kept me going. What about you?
Up until I would probably say maybe halfway, maybe a third of the way.
Mm-hmm.
My only problem was Cassie. Everyone else, I was liking their performances and everything. I just didn't think that she was true to the character. So I was like, where's this activist thing going? And I knew it was going to play off in the long run, right? But I'm just like, really? This is how you're going to introduce the character? She's just, haphazardly going to get arrested. That's what's going to happen.
Yeah.
Shrink a fucking cop car, which I thought was a cool joke. But
no, it was
other than
really
that,
cool. It was really cool. And then she goes to the quantum realm, and then she becomes Ray,
right?
or Finn, whichever way you want to look at it.
I like the fact that she didn't really know how to operate the suit and the fighting mechanics yet. I thought that was cool.
I thought his training was great. No, watch. Do you see me? No, you were this big.
Yeah, that was awesome.
You jump and go, jump and push.
I liked their back and forth because that's truly like a parent type of conversation with. No, just watch me. This would be real easy.
Yeah, no, that's exactly how it works. And the citrus thing, some limes.
Yeah.
But I liked that they used like they seemed to show him not having a problem being gigantic.
Yeah.
And that was awesome to me. And they were all fully stocked with Pym particles. They had more than they could possibly need.
They had plenty for 50 round trips for this movie.
That's many.
I wonder if okay, so you're Hank Pym, or you're in his entourage, right? You're Scott Lang, you're anyone else in the group, right? How many of those shrinking devices do you have, and how many Pym particles? And I mean, do you just roll out to the grocery store and you're gonna buy like a ribeye, and I'm gonna get the smallest one and fucking Pym particle the shit out of it, and boom, you get a 10-pound roast? Like, what is your everyday Pym particle usage, and what are you bringing it for?
Think of how big the Skittles would be. There's certain
things
things
like a Big Mac, a Skittle, just.
But like, if you think about that, that'd be terrible.
Yeah,
that'd be horrendous. So probably like not that much. Like if you think about it, if you Pym particle a steak, unless it's just a little bit, like your bites are not going to be the marble goodness that you're looking for. They're just going to be like think about the tough pieces, right? Like a pizza is legitimately like one of the only things that makes sense to giant size in that way. The way they Back to the Future that pizza.
I mean, you could totally Simpsons it and throw it on a tomato, and then like cutting the tomato. When Lisa won the Nobel Prize with feeding steroids to tomatoes. Like, I think that would work out really well.
Or you could make tobacco. That was a good episode too. No, I think that if you did it with the initial fruits and vegetables, but what do you get with a big tomato? A lot of tomato sauce. Like it would work if I'd start a sauce company, and my initial investment cost would be -2, right? Like not even close. I think that I'd feel like a high fructose corn syrup be damned. I got Pym particles now that I'm eating. How's that going to work? I'm going to end up like MODOK without actually being MODOK.
Since we started talking about the villains, let's go into Kang. So Jonathan Majors as Kang. Thoughts on him?
I like Jonathan Majors.
But
I like Jonathan Majors in the character. But how the hell can the Conqueror not find his way out of the goddamn quantum realm?
I mean, he's never been there before. He's banished there by all the other variants of him. The quantum realm is incredibly difficult to get out of if you don't know how. It's incredibly difficult to get out of even if you do know how the quantum realm works. And he didn't have a power source for his ship.
How do you not know how your ship works?
Mm.
Why do you need Beth to figure Rick, female Rick, to fix your shit?
True. I see your point there. But
Like,
do you think
all of
all
that.
pilots know how to fix their plane if they were to crash land somewhere? Do you think they have the wherewithal and knowledge to put their plane together?
The pilots aren't called the Conqueror.
No, but they are the ones piloting the ship.
He
And
also
at that point, he is not the conqueror. He is just the person who is aspiring to be the conqueror. At that point, he's still a bad motherfucker, but he is not fulfilled his destiny as of yet. Just like Thanos hasn't fulfilled his destiny yet.
He also pulled a Janet, and apparently the reason he's in the quantum realm is because he took his guard down and didn't have his fucking suit on and just totally screwed himself. So it's a movie about people not wearing the appropriate clothing at the appropriate times.
Not using protection.
That's it. Suit it up, boys. No, I like Jonathan Majors' ability to give that crazy villain level emotion. I'm all about it. Like the dramatic scenes and stuff like that, the anger, the all of that. Like the he gave the I'm stuttering. I liked it so much. I thought that he gave the level of intensity that's necessary. I feel like the character was for some reason underpowered, but I'm not fully Kang familiar, so I'm gonna let it go.
I'm not familiar with Kang hardly at all from the comics. I was never a big Fantastic Four person, and he's a big Fantastic Four villain. The one thing that I am familiar with is that there is a version of him that understands that he's a bad guy and he reverts himself. And instead of becoming a bad guy, he turns into the Iron Lad and becomes a member of the Young Avengers. So that's kind of cool, where he becomes a good guy to stop himself or future versions of himself.
Yeah.
But yeah, don't really know much about him. In terms of underpowered, I mean, he beat the shit out of everybody. And the only thing that, really stood a chance against him was a full-blown army of century-old ants that already have like 3,000 years of tech and strategy, and they're super fucking smart, can communicate with each other. That's what took him down temporarily. And that was an army, full-blown army. So I don't know. I kind of buy him as the badass and his power.
Eh. Eh.
So you don't think of him as you don't buy it as
I'm
a
not
big bad?
hugely impressed with Kang as a big bad character. I mean, he couldn't even resolve his own incidents. He fell for the same trick twice.
Isn't that how history repeats itself for all different types of battles and relationships and everything? Like the test of time is history always repeats itself.
Only if we're snubbing variants. In this world, there's variants. So there's a variant of Kang that got out of there. It was in this one.
Well, no, he was the only one that was banished. So he can't.
But remember, time splinters at all of the splintering points.
I think you're going to lose this theory here because he is everyone else banished him because the time they wanted to keep it in their own universes and everything. And so once he's taken out of the equation, then like, okay, everyone can live their own lives and not be the war is not there anymore. It's over. And that's kind of like the whole thing with in Loki season 1, where Jonathan Majors is Kang, in that he's just a different variation of it. He's just kind of like a very nice, mild mannered guy, and he was the one that was in control of the different timelines, but also was fully aware that all the other versions of himself are out there. So now, I think with what got, and we'll talk about that in the end credits scene.
Okay.
So, okay, but so you don't buy him as a big bad?
Not yet. He's not big and bad enough for me.
Okay, true. I can understand that because I mean he got taken down by Antman, so
right.
I get it.
Like Antman without the suit. Antman, he got bitch slapped by Paul Rudd.
That end battle though, were you like, oh, he's gonna die?
No, because they didn't. Nobody else died a horrible death.
So you didn't think Antman? He
none
stayed
of Kang's
back.
powers were like meant to maim or injure. They were more like
fucking disintegrated people.
Right. He shot phaser blasts. They're not gonna phaser blast an Avenger to death.
Speaking of, was his way.
If you die in your own movie, you die in a way where you get a death scene, not one where you're like pew pew ah.
So you didn't think, like, I was thinking like I didn't think he was gonna die, but I was thinking like, wow, they're making this really good and believable that he could die here. That's what I thought about it. Like, oh wow, he's really getting the shit kicked out of him. His face was all bloody. I mean, it looked like he was like, Jonathan Majors was basically just gearing up for Creed 3 because he was beating the shit out of Paul Rudd in that. Because I think for all of the different sacrifices that have happened in the MCU, I could have bought that happening. You know, you save your daughter, you save the woman you love. I don't know, but
very much so. I was expecting it, but when it got to the scene of them going together, Jonathan Majors stopped shooting his pew pew blasts and started getting physical, which told me that Paul Rudd was going to live.
He also didn't have his blasters. I'm assuming that whatever was on his arms was what was allowing him to shoot his blasters, and his suit was fucked because the ants fucked him up. So I think that's the reasoning as to why, which then goes back to your theory and made me think about it right now. Is like, yeah, you know what? He's not so big and bad,
right?
Because he's depending on his suit for some.
But he got back to his chair, which generated his suit. So he should have been able to like plug that bitch in and charge it. Like all of it to me is just like, he's so bad, but is he?
Yeah. I see where you're coming from with that. I didn't even think about he has to sit in his Tide Pod and get recharged.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay. Well, that kind of changes my opinion on things a little bit, but I think Jonathan Majors was like freaking amazing.
The actor, great. No replacement. No other suggestions.
Best part of the movie.
I love that I don't know him from anything huge. That the emotional one, that he seems to absolutely adore the fact that he gets to play multiple people, and seeing him on the red carpet and stuff messing with people. He's already in with a group like that. Like, did you see the clip of him signing an Antman helmet?
Yeah.
And then teasing Paul Rudd about it. I was like, I like this guy. I don't know what he's been in, but I like him. I'd watch a movie because he's in it.
He has been in some other things, but I've never really gravitated towards him. But I think he just freaking knocked out of the park. When I saw that he was announced as Kang the Conqueror, I was like, really? This guy? That's a weird choice. But after seeing him in Loki, after seeing him in this movie, for sure, 100%, this guy's got acting range, because I believed it at the beginning of the movie when he was talking to Janet in the when he saved her. Like, oh, he doesn't seem like a bad guy. Maybe this is a variant, and then people think he's a bad guy, and then another variant comes in, and he's truly the bad guy. But yeah, he's able to pull it off, and all his different variants at the end were very interesting too. So, but
Yeah.
let's go on.
Hang on. So you like him so much, would you go see him in Creed 3?
Yeah.
Nice. There's one more rumored thing that I'm excited about on his IMDb page. He supposedly is attached to play Dennis Rodman in a 48 Hours in Vegas thing that they're making about the time Dennis Rodman left the Bulls to go to Vegas and party and marry Carmen Electra.
Is it a comedy or?
It's just got like a few people in it. I think it's kind of like the Nike thing that they're making with Air, where they pulled like have you seen the previews for that?
Yeah.
I saw the previews for that during this movie, which
Yeah.
made me make the connection. But yeah, I think he's got the range to pull off Rodman too. I'm excited. And again, I'd go see many things that he's in.
Yeah, for sure. He would have to lose some of that muscle though. That guy's jacked, and he would have to kind of thin out for
Rodman
to
was
be
still
Rodman.
pretty jacked.
He was jacked, but he was like Leaf, kind of.
He
kind
just
of a
has
slim.
to stop putting the pin particles on his steak.
Yeah.
Just eat regular steak and he'll be fine. Just cut the protein in half. Teach him, Dan.
So speaking of cutting things in half and kind of talking about things that you should be doing, what about the subplot with the socialist overtones and Hank Pym even calling things out blatantly and saying like socialist was kind of the end result of everything. So what are your thoughts on that?
I mean, that's what happens when you have an all-powerful being, right? That's what happens is classes develop. People who either kiss up or die. That's why the US president is replaced every 4 years. That's why we wrote the Constitution to not enact socialism.
Did you think that with Cassie's protesting or activist nature and landing in the quantum realm with all the different types of creatures and like I don't know what the hell they were, but did you think that this is a parallel to what's going on right now, and do you like it when they do that in movies?
I don't think it's a parallel to anything, at least in this movie, because it's not. I think it's more of a copy of The Last Jedi, or no, Rise of Skywalker than anything else.
Really?
Are you kidding me?
You don't think so with The Last Jedi with the whole racing space dogs or whatever the hell it was?
No, I think the Last Jedi, or no, I think that was funny. I think the Rise of Skywalker, when at the end they're like, "Oh no, we're gonna die! Oh look, everybody made it! Yay!" Which was a copy of Endgame, and on your left, but this felt less like Endgame and more lame like The Last Jedi, or like I can't even remember it. Rise of Skywalker. It was Rise of Skywalker-esque due to all of the weird spacey things, and everybody shows up. And I'm just like, wow, so she's Finn or Rey, basically, in this. More Finn than anything else. Summer Finn. That's what's going on here. I think there's a Rick and Morty episode where Summer frees a bunch of people and they go rebel. So I mean, it fits, man. It totally fits. But I don't think there's as much of a political statement here as there was in things like Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
Sure.
I don't think it's as much. I think that they're trying to play a Gen Z character, and Gen Z characters, and Gen Z is very focused on causes, and that's good. And she realizes that she can utilize her privilege of having the family to take her out, and understanding what she can and can't be prosecuted for, to know that. And her dad's an Avenger. I don't know if he's told you this or read a book about it lately, right? But she's got some family money and ability to where she can go and have the luxury of taking on those causes without having long-term life altering consequences. Her stepmom or dad's girlfriend is Steve Jobs, so who the fuck cares?
So let's go down those supporting characters, starting off with Bill Murray, the man who's kind of gotten a little bit of controversy around him.
Bill Murray, the
now.
squancher.
It is what it is, but
I mean, he's the squancher, and he wanted to squanch Janet again.
He was surprising to me. I thought that Bill Murray's going to come in and do Bill Murray shit, but there was some depth to the character, and I thought you got the taste of Bill Murray, kind of what his method acting, right? But you also got a little bit of seriousness in that conversation. Like, what did you expect? Like the stuff happens. Like, of course I'm gonna freaking sell you out right now.
Yeah, you got you had a cause. I had to live. Yeah, I mean, I understand that. And then they kill him.
I still don't think he's dead.
He got eaten by the little thing that was in his glass.
Did he really get eaten though?
Michael Douglas made sure of it.
Okay. I guess I just didn't catch that. I thought there was like so much stuff going on. You know what bothered me in that scene is that why didn't Hope, why was she doing like the whole Luke Skywalker blasting at all the stormtroopers before getting on the Millennium Falcon? She was just, did she really need to stay there and cover everyone? I don't think so.
I don't know.
A little extra action.
Michael Douglas didn't go elbow deep enough. He didn't fist the plane enough. So
yeah. That's totally a Rick and Morty thing, though.
Again, it is
totally Rick and Morty.
I've never seen that in Marvel, but that is a super Rick and Morty thing.
I think I will watch the movie again just to appreciate the Rick and Mortiness now.
Preview. Yes, that's you're foreshadowing.
What about Gentora, played by Katie O'Brien?
I was okay with it. It's the angry female freedom fighter that we get. I mean, I didn't have any emotional attachment, and she didn't hit me as, oh, I really like you.
I appreciate her CrossFitter bodybuilder physique. She looked like a character that would whoop some ass, and she wasn't completely sexified to where it's okay, this person will not be able to hurt anyone. But she looked like she could kick the shit out of a majority of the people on that cast, which was kind of cool. So good for her. Katie O'Brien, fantastic.
With a name like Gentora, I was looking for horse legs or something like that. Some kind of weird multiversal situation where she could just and lead everybody into battle, but as a horse, as a centaur. Gentora sounds like a centaur name.
So speaking of, I think it's a centaur. Did you ever see Your Highness?
Yes.
With the centaur and the
underrated movie.
The centaur and its cock and balls, just hilarious.
Yeah.
Oh man. Something about fictional genitalia is just the highest of humor to me. Yeah. Speaking of genitalia, what about Veb, who was played by David Desmalchin, who was in the previous two Antman movies. He plays a new character in this. What did you think of Holes?
I'm not gonna lie. I was a fan, and then right when they shot him, I'm like, I literally said out loud before he said, he's like, I have holes, and then he said it. And that's what I'm like, yep, it's Rick and Morty. He's basically Mr. Poopy Butthole.
Yeah. That's such a ridiculous name, but it's something that you're going to remember ever.
Oh boy. But
So
David Desmalchin, I love to see him in anything because you know he's going to play a weird out there character like Polka Dot Man.
that was my complete just comparison, or like like, oh, he reminded me of him. And afterwards, when I saw his name in the credits, because I didn't recognize the voice, I was thinking like, oh my god, he was just like Polka Dot Man, just because of his weird dialogue that he had and his hero moments. Totally Polka Dot Man. So are they ripping off James Gunn? Is that what it is, or are they just playing a Rick and Morty?
They're ripping off Rick and Morty.
Okay. You can't really rip it off if you're the one who's writing it, right?
I mean, he's not one of the main guys. He just wrote a few episodes for them.
Okay.
Luckily, he's not one of the main guys because those guys been doing some fucked up shit. Like that's a show that's about to go really downhill because everybody's leaving. Not by choice.
I thought they all preferred Dan Harmon over what's his name, the guy that's
Justin
no longer
Roiland?
associated. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure they did. But Justin Roiland did all the voices. All of he's Rick and Morty.
It's true. I'm sure you can AI that shit though.
I mean, now you can, but think of The Simpsons without Dan Castellanos.
Castellaneta.
Whatever.
Whatever.
Yeah, enjoy tip of the cap to the to Northern Illinois University's most famous and accomplished alumni.
And loved by all. So yeah, absolutely. Put some respect on his damn name.
Yeah, no, I'm sorry. Sorry, Mr. NIU out there.
Oh man. What about Quaz, the mind reader? This actor is very familiar to me. I don't know where I remember him from, but I know he's been in like a ton of stuff. What did you think about him and his little mind reading powers?
I liked him. I thought he was I liked him. I thought it was funny. I thought they did the gag a little too long at the beginning with stop thinking of that. No, stop thinking of that.
Yeah.
No, stop thinking of that again. Like,
but isn't that a Paul Rudd thing though? Like,
it's a Rick and Morty joke.
You know who he reminded me of is the guy in the most recent Jurassic World, whatever it was called, the guy that was helping them get to the different parts of the island.
Okay.
I can't remember his name, but I like both of those guys and the roles that they played. And I just thought that was an interesting comparison. And you know what? Get him in the MCU. I really like that guy.
No, he reminded me of the dude from Psych.
Never watched it. I don't watch any TV anymore that's not on Netflix or one of those streaming show or streaming work shows.
Yeah. He's I mean, not exactly Psych, but he has a very Dule Hill feel of him. I don't know if you know who Dule Hill is.
Nope.
He was on the West Wing. I celebrate his entire catalog. But yeah, William Jackson Harper, 2 thumbs up on this one. Thought it was funny. Would love to see him in other stuff. Looking at his IMDb page, like I understand I haven't seen him in anything because he hasn't been in any movies that I've been like all over.
But he has a lot of credits. He has a whole bunch of stuff.
And he's been working for a long time.
Yeah. Yeah. Very youthful appearance too. You would think that he's like in his early 20s or something like that, but apparently guy's working for ever.
He did 52 episodes of The Electric Company, the 2006 version.
What's The Electric Company?
It's a kids show.
Oh, okay. Once again, not my forte or expertise, kids shows. But let's talk about the character.
Your kids would agree.
Yeah. My kids don't really watch kids shows anymore. They've gotten to that age where, we're so true
They're
story.
watching the Sarah Connor Chronicles right now.
We have not gotten into that just because it's not readily available. But we are watching and almost finished up with the last season of The Walking Dead as a family. We put that on at dinner. And dude, Walking Dead, like the last season, they go all out. They just put like a shitload of their budget into killing zombies, and it's like the most gruesome, like Mortal Kombat-esque type of fatalities.
Man,
But let's go to the character that for the listeners who've seen the movie, yes, we're going to talk about this character, and we're talking about MODOK. What was your audience reaction to MODOK?
it wasn't that kind of audience.
Ah, old bastards.
I wish it was. But I will say this is a character that has the ownership of it has kind of gone all over the place because it was, a Fox character for a while, and there was a TV show, and he's been in things because he's shaped like a top. And like I don't have a lot of MODOK experience, right? I don't have context. I read X-Men as a kid, and Batman, but the fact that they tied it back to the first movie, the fact that they brought Cassie's boogeyman to the table, like, and he had a big head and little arms. I loved it. I was a fan. My reaction was, it's great. And my wife was like, can they just stop with his weird head?
But you can't. That's MODOK. He's got a big fucking head.
But I think they explained the why behind MODOK in very artfully.
It was a good explanation.
Tying it back is big for me.
I did find it hilarious that he had his little tiny MODOK buttocks.
Yes, they gave you a cleanly just round MODOK booty.
But something I liked even better, besides my family's reaction, was, and I almost started feeling bad because my son and my wife just kept laughing every time they showed his face, his big, overgrown, bloated face on the screen. They just kept laughing and laughing. And I was like, oh, gosh, you got to be quiet. But the only reaction better was every time that the main characters saw him, they were like, shit, Darren, what the hell happened to you? It's just so funny. Like, there's no explanation that could really justify why it happened that way or that they can understand it. But yeah, it was awesome. I liked it.
I agree.
What about from the unserious nature of that character? Like, do you think it was it too much like a Thor Love and Thunder, where it's like, oh, Marvel, you're trying to do it again, make everything funny? Did you feel that at all with that character?
To my understanding, he was a minion of Kang. So yeah, make him a minion of Kang.
Not really respected though.
Who cares? Would you respect that guy?
I loved when Kang said, "You don't speak when I'm in the room." Like, fuck you. You do not say a damn word. You shut your damn mouth. Mm. And so I was like, whoa, this guy's a badass. And then I was realizing, like, oh, he's designed only for killing, but he's kind of a bitch. And so that's
the thing that got me was this villainous negative guy just needed a quick pep talk to not be a dick. Like, did she like go behind part. His weird little head and like flip the not a dick switch for him to make that immediate of a change? It seemed like every other character in the quantum realm had self-preservation as their default setting because they were all terrified of Kang, except for this guy, who was the only person that died.
Yeah. I didn't like his little hero turn. I thought it was funny.
Oh, it was hilarious.
I was like, really? Like, you're gonna charge into battle? Like, Darren Cross was a smart guy in the normal world. and then he turned into like this sucker in the quantum realm. Like,
Yeah.
I don't buy that. I just don't buy it. And so I was a little bit bothered by that. It was a funny ending where he's sitting there dying and he's like he's fucking coughing up the shit, and everyone's
Yeah.
like, God. And then he says, like, at least I died in Avenger. Like, what? What? Sure. Yeah, you're in, buddy. But I thought it was flirting with that line that so many people complained about in Thor: Love and Thunder, that I'm like, I'm starting to feel that right in this movie, and I like that humor, right? But at this time, I was thinking like, you have the comedic relief from almost every other character, or literally almost every other character, even like the ancillary characters, but for MODOK to be that the butt of the joke at the end was like,
He was
I
Jerry.
guess whatever.
They gave him a Jerry moment.
Yeah,
He was the Jerry of villains.
yeah, but I it was cool to see Corey Stoll back, and I'm wondering if what his thoughts were when I want to go out and watch some interviews with him post the movie release, just to see like if anyone asks him like ridiculous questions, like, really, you wanted to come back for this, and just what his mentality and his opinion was. Like, yeah, fuck, it's funny. I'm for
He
it.
got a whole new
Like,
character. Yeah.
yeah.
I don't mind that. I like that. I love them bringing back characters. And I was kind of pissed in this movie that they didn't bring back the absolute best Ant-Man character and the character who saved the multiverse, who saved the world from fucking Thanos.
The rat.
No. The guy who owned the van.
Luis.
Luis.
Wait, how does he save the multiverse?
If Luis didn't have a van, nobody would have built the portal in the van, and then nothing.
I would say that, yeah, I did. My next question was, did you miss anything from the previous Ant-Man movies? And yeah, Michael Pena as Luis was.
How do you not put Luis in this movie?
I thought he was going to be an end credit scene. I thought he was going to totally just be saying the story as to what happened, and like he's at a here's my Michael Pena Luis character post credit scene. It's a book reading, and he's the one doing the book reading, and same kind of scene where you have Corey Stoll, MODOK's character, talking, but it's Luis kind of saying the words, just back and forth and everything. I thought that would have been the perfect end credit scene for the movie, is bring him back, let him do his thing, and everyone laughs, has a good time. I would have loved it.
How did you feel about the actual end credit scenes?
End credit scenes with the Kang variants. You know what? I was actually kind of bummed because and I don't know if he's actually dead. I can only go by that they say he's dead, so he's dead. But I didn't like those variants of Kang. I thought the one in the movie was the best badass motherfucker.
Yeah.
And his presence, his voice, everything was just ultimate. Like, it should just continue on. He's alive. He's just in a different version of the quantum realm, whatever. Right. So I was a little bit bummed by that, but doing a little bit of research after the facts, that those are legit variants of Kang from the comics, and they're also kind of badass motherfuckers too. So I was okay with it. What did you think about that scene?
They're making it so big that how are you going to stick the landing? That's
I
what
gotta
I'm
trust him.
about.
I gotta trust him.
I don't know. I'm becoming very skeptical about sticking the landing with all of the Kangs and it being the end of Lost. Like, if there's a fucking polar bear Kang, I quit.
Do you have a reservation for Loki season 2 after seeing that second end credit scene?
I was already going to watch Loki season 2. I hope it's not as fucking weird as an ending and confusing of an ending as Loki season 1. Because I even went back to try and watch it. like to try and make sure I was Kang ready. Like, okay, I need to understand this. Maybe I missed something. There's a lot going on, and there wasn't a lot going on. It was just very vague. And you watched this, the chick do all this stuff. I'm worried that they're taking out the female character, and it's now going to be like Starsky and Hutch with Tom Hiddleston and Owen Wilson.
Perfectly fine with that.
But it looks like Quantum Leap Starsky and Hutch.
I'm okay with that.
Are
but
you?
Tom Hiddleston's acting in that scene alone makes me just really miss Tom Hiddleston in the movies because he's such a good actor.
But you would watch Tom Hiddleston in anything.
I watched him in King Kong, and that movie sucked balls.
Yeah, but that's Peter Jackson's fault.
Yeah. I mean, Captain Marvel was in that movie too, and John C. Reilly. They had plenty of Marvel people in that movie, and I just was like, yeah, it was okay. But yeah, I thought that end credit scene of Loki season 2 was pretty awesome, and it's like, God, he's such a good actor, and it's kind of nice to see Jonathan Majors again in a different variation or variants of Kang. And God, there's like so many things. I would probably say that I totally understand what you think of. I don't know how they're going to stick the landing with all these different variations of Kang, because I just want one big bad guy, and I don't need multiple. But at the same time, we're probably going to get that. Because I need to like one of the bad guys, and I want to believe that that one bad guy is going to be powerful enough to just decimate all comers.
I want to hope the same way you do. I again just think they're gonna go way too. Yeah, I think they're trying to go way too big.
Well, this is a pretty big storyline, so that leads me to my final question mark. Can you do this, Ant-Man and the Wasp, Quantumania? Can you do this movie all day?
I think it's better than a lot of the other stuff we've seen lately, and there's a very good chance that I would watch it repeatedly, possibly due to its Rick and Morty-ness. So I'm going to say, yeah, I could do this movie all day.
That is surprising.
I will just ignore the annoying parts and enjoy the live action Rick and Morty-ness. The opening, the beginning of it, I liked it so much. Dan, can you do this all day?
I think I have said that I can do this all day for a lot of the different Marvel movies, or at least as far as we started saying that. I wish we could go back in time and just start from the beginning of our podcast and say that, like, hey, we added this in there. But I will say that this is going to be one of the few that I cannot do this all day.
Wow.
I enjoyed the movie, but I will say I enjoyed it more than Wakanda Forever.
Yeah.
And you totally shed a little bit of light, and I now want to watch it again and have Rick and Morty in mind. And I don't know if it's just coincidence, but I am wearing a Swifty shirt.
How convenient.
And so, yeah.
I was wearing my Kang blue today. Blue, 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 pew, pew.
I didn't even think about Rick and Morty in this until all of our discussion tonight. And so now I want to watch it again and just be like, yeah, let's just make some Rick and Morty comparisons.
I mean,
to answer the question truthfully, I cannot do this all day, and it's not because of my lack of entertainment of the movie, but there is a legitimate bone to pick with Cassie Lang. I just didn't enjoy the character. I have a bone to pick with the lack of utilization of the Wasp, because I thought that she was such a strong character in the last one. I was hoping to see her more in the forefront. But I guess, they put that into Michelle Pfeiffer's character, but at the same time, it's an Ant-Man and the Wasp movie. So I wish I would have seen a little bit more partnership there. and there was badassery, but just not enough in my opinion. So for that, those two reasons alone really kind of swayed my opinion on it. But I think the determining factor was I understand all those people that had a bone to pick with Thor: Love and Thunder with the humor and cramming in jokes. I think that's where this kind of fell for me, is that I thought they were cramming in too many jokes, very much like a Rick and Morty show, but I don't want that in my Marvel movie. I like humor, and I just think it's they crammed a little too much humor in this.
Okay. But the only reason I'd watch it again is for the humor. I look at this like a Ragnarok. Like I would just watch it for the jokage and
Really,
enjoy that.
you think that Ragnarok didn't have awesome action scenes or acting or
I thought
plot?
the action scenes in this were pretty good. I thought Jonathan Majors crushed in
Yeah.
it, and I also thought that Michelle Pfeiffer and all of them did a great job. Like I would watch it for that. There's also parts where you can get up and go to the bathroom and let it still play, and that's okay. It's a nice turn it on in the background. I'm not going to let this movie just kind of go away.
Sure. I think it will be one of those movies that once it comes out to Disney Plus, my kids will want to watch it again just for MODOK. But yeah, so that's pretty much it. We got one person that says that they can do this all day, and then me who says that they cannot. But you know what? Still a Marvel fan. Until they come out with a MODOK live action movie where he's the main character and only character in it, make mine Marvel.
I wouldn't mind. I mean, MODOK as the main character of a series has been funny already.
Yeah, the Hulu version was funny, but live action is where I'll draw the line. You might as well get the DC passport for me, and I'll jump ship and start watching some of the awful shit that they used to have. But that's for another episode.
Yeah, no, there's so much that I could say to the DC thing, but I'm going to hold back.
Yeah,
I'm going to hold it in.
But thank you all for joining us. We are going to be back with another episode, which may involve some DC stuff. It may involve some cocaine and a bear. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what our schedules line up as. But until then, I'm Dan, the part-time Avenger, and that is Mark, the resident Jedi.
Like, subscribe, suggestions, requests. How am I going to settle this bet that I lost? Other than stop gambling, Mark. You don't know what's coming in Marvel movies because they're not predictable. All of those questions and more answered later. But not if you don't like and subscribe, you won't find out when we answer it.
Tune in next time for the answer.
I have holes.